ICD, which is right here. It's basically a fancy pacemaker and stands for this. And I've had it for about 7 months. So this video won't be about how you can be healthier or some random challenge that I come up with, but rather the things that I've been through and how hopefully you can use those lessons or experiences and apply them to your life. Okay, so I want to share with you my medical history, all the way from 3 heart surgeries to almost dying from sepsis to getting my ICD and thinking my life is over. Let me take you back real quick to when I was born. So I was born with a congenital heart defect called tetralogy of flow. It has 4 main defects, one being the narrowing of the pulmonary valve. 2, there's no wall separating the left and right ventricle, also called a VSD, so oxygenated and non-oxygenated blood mixed together, an overriding aorta, and thicker right ventricle. When I was 3.5 years old, I had an open heart surgery where I had a total repair, which includes patching up the hole between the ventricles and putting in an artificial pulmonary valve. This valve lasted about 12 years until I needed a replacement valve. I was 15 at the time, and my parents asked me if I wanted to make the decision to get open heart surgery again or go with a newer, less invasive method. I remember being scared to death, and so much so that I sat outside the room when the doctor was going over the different options and paths we can take for this surgery. My parents decided to go with the less invasive option, which was the newer method, and I got a Melody transcatheter pulmonary valve. Basically, they go up through your leg vein and use a balloon to expand the valve within your heart. And this valve was expected to last anywhere between 6 and 10 years. Other than 3 balloons popping when trying to blow up the valve, the surgery was a success and went pretty well. I recovered in a few weeks, and this valve lasted until I was 21, where a sepsis infection caused a clot in my valve. Having sepsis was the worst thing I've ever experienced and will probably ever experience. I was a junior at University of Maryland, going through one of my hardest semesters, when one night I started feeling major fatigue. The fatigue quickly turned into crazy fever, where 1 hour I would be just shivering because I was so cold, even though I had 3 blankets on and a heater on me. And then I would wake up from a nap just completely drenched in sweat. I went to the university's health center twice over 3 days asking for help because I wasn't getting any better. I felt absolutely terrible. They sent me away both times saying that it was just a stomach bug and that if I took Advil it would just pass. A few more days pass, and my girlfriend at the time had a brother doing his medical rotations. He said that it was probably sepsis and told her to take me to the ER immediately. My platelet count was so low that they said I had a high chance of randomly internal bleeding. The infection caused a clot in my valve, like I said, gave me a frozen right shoulder. I had a part of my spleen that didn't get blood, so anytime I would breathe deeply or laugh, I would just have terrible stomach pain, and on top of all of that, I had pneumonia at some point. I spent almost a month in the ICU where I lost 15 pounds, and after I got out, I had to administer antibiotics via central line. I don't know if you can see that tiny scar, but I had a central line in my arm for about 2 months, and most of the time I couldn't even give myself the antibiotics. I needed some help because I couldn't use my right arm. I went from being fit and healthy to being completely out of breath walking up a small set of stairs, and not to mention, once I got out, I had to study for finals where I got my first and only C in college. A few months later, I got my third heart surgery where they actually implanted another melody valve inside the old one. And yeah, so 3 heart surgeries, check. Sepsis, knock that down, and we should be good, right? Well, not so fast. 2 years later, during one of my cardiologist appointments, they randomly say that I am scheduled for an ICD. This was the first time ever hearing that I needed an ICD. I immediately went into researching about them and why I would need one. With my condition, I was basically diagnosed with bradycardia, a slow heart rate, and a second-degree heart block. So basically, the top part of my heart would send a signal to the bottom part, and sometimes that signal wouldn't be reached by the bottom part of the heart. So occasionally the bottom part wouldn't beat, or it would be a delayed beat. So that's why I needed one. And also, when I was sleeping, my heart rate would be in the high 30s, and occasionally it wouldn't beat for almost 4 seconds, which obviously isn't good. So I got the ICD, everything was okay. It's definitely a little weird to be able to feel a tapping or a pulse in the top part of my heart and then feel the bottom part beat too. But I was slowly getting used to that. And then the first weekend having it was the second worst time in my entire life. I experienced something called pacemaker-mediated tachycardia. And due to the placement of the leads in my heart and my still intact electrical system in my heart, basically whenever I would lay flat to go to bed, I would experience a double heart rate. So I'd be lying there and it would feel like I'd be jogging or running. Very scary. I had the worst sleep I've ever had for an entire week, and I was seriously contemplating every second when I was awake if I could live like this or not, if they would have to take it out or whatever. I didn't think I could live with it. The anxiety I felt was unlike I ever had. So since then, my doctors have thankfully fixed it. So this brings us to why. Why this channel? Why is a random guy with a bunch of heart problems who's not jacked or shredded giving health and wellness tips and doing dumb fitness challenges? Well, simply, I just enjoy doing physically challenging things and learning how I personally can feel better physically and mentally. Part of this is probably because I wanted to be normal when playing with friends when growing up, but I hope other people can see the things I'm doing and hopefully apply something out of my videos to their life and for them to feel better too. Whether that's they get some inspiration, some motivation, or they see a random health tip that they can start applying that day. They make a habit and then they actually feel better, or they start going walking or whatever. If I can help just one person feel better from something that I've learned, or if I can help one person somehow stop being lazy because they saw me doing some random dumb walking challenge and they start making walking a habit, then this is all worth it. And I wanted to quickly say that I couldn't have survived any of those things that I just mentioned without my friends and family. I want to thank all of you, and I appreciate all of you. And I especially couldn't have done this without my mom. She obviously has been with me ever since I was born, but I wanted to especially say that when you spent 2 weeks in the ICU with me, it meant so much just having you there and being with me and going through that struggle. I'm sure that none of it was easy for you, but I want to say thank you and I love you. So everyone, surround yourself with good people who care about you and that you care for too. Surround yourself with positivity. We aren't here long, so just have fun in life. Thank you so much for watching. More videos are coming, and have a great day. See ya.